What's up, everybody? It's the Biggie. First and foremost, I want to thank you guys for stopping by today's video. Now, if you did not check out yesterday's video, be sure to do so. Yesterday, we talked about really trying to figure out if having a high quality stream setup is right for you. If it's something that you really need to be chasing, because these things can be kind of a black hole when it comes down to buying things and, just needing to upgrade and always just needing to learn new stuff. So really evaluate if this is something that you need to be doing. Again, be sure to check out the previous video on that. So at this point, you decided you want to upgrade your stream. You want it to look amazing. You want it to have high quality. You want it to look something like this, because this is the exact camera. This is the exact setup that I'm using right now that I typically use for streaming for this video. So before I dive into the camera stuff, the electronics, I just want to bring up the simple little things that you can actually make sure that you're doing with what you have already. What a lot of people don't understand with the webcams that they have, whether it be a 1080 webcam, a 4K webcam, that yes, although you're not going to be able to get a lot of your background blur, which is what we call bokeh with cameras and DSLRs, yes, you're not going to be able to get that, but having proper lighting and using the filters and the abilities that the camera actually has in OBS in itself is going to make the camera quality look a lot better. For example, whatever you're using to stream, if you actually find your cam that you're using, if you right click on that, go to filters or go to properties, you can actually mess with the lighting, the white balance, the exposure, and all that yourself. So if you're looking a little too blotchy, obviously you know to bring down the brightness. If you're looking a little too dark, obviously you know to bring up the brightness a little bit. If that's something that you can't accomplish within the webcam and just continuously looks like trash, one of the things I would suggest is investing into a simple light. Streamers like myself, we use a ring light or a softbox light, but for somebody that's kind of like starting off with a lot of this, I recommend just getting a simple light off of Amazon, as you see here. Also, with the OBS option, you can add things like filters and you can add color correction, sharpness, stuff like that. So again, yes, you're not going to be able to pull off what you have with a DSLR. It's not going to look as good. But at the end of the day, if you're able to make things look better, I would highly suggest it. You can also use this feature for your gameplay. A lot of people ask how my gameplay looks so high quality, why it looks a little sharper, looks a little cleaner than what their gameplay looks like when they're live. They asked if I use a pre-downloaded thing, and it's just all through OBS. It's just simply right-clicking on my game capture, going to the filters option, and adding in a color correction and messing with the contrast, the saturation, the sharpness, and whatnot. So one of the biggest things that I can highly suggest to off the rip before you start spending a lot of money is just figuring out your whole layout of your room, the lighting, and what you can just use with what you have already and utilize it to be much better than what it is. But let's just say that that has not got your fixin'. So you want to upgrade to a DSLR, you want to make it look better, you want to make it look more high quality. Now that you understand the whole new gameplay thing with the filters, you also want a webcam to match as well. A lot of people ask me about cam links. Cam links work fine. I have one. I used one for a long time. The only thing with a cam link is if you have a camera like mine that can output to 4K, it will not output through a cam link to 4K. It will go 1080, which is awesome for a lot of streamers. But for somebody like myself that streams 1080, 60 FPS, I want to have that 4K input so that way I can downscale and it looks that much sharper, it looks that much better. I'm going to assume most people watching this video are actually streaming at 720. So if you use a cam link with pretty much any entry-level DSLR that can handle being used as a webcam, and I'll talk about that in a second, if you can just use a cam link with that, it's going to be really good quality at 720. The reason why mine looks so high quality is the fact that it's actually downscaling from 4K to 1080 as it's going into the stream. That's another reason why my game looks good as well when I stream. It's because I'm actually playing my game at 1440. Now, the reason I'm able to do all that is because of my PC hardware. This is where I talk about the black hole. This is where I talk about the endless pit. You can have an amazing camera, you can have a cam link, you can have an awesome game, but in order to be able to just stream at a high resolution and game at a high resolution, you need to have a PC and a monitor that can handle it. I have a new Asus ROG Maximus motherboard with an i7 8086K and 32 gigabytes of 3200 RAM with a 1080 Ti in it and a lot of other goodies inside it, the CPU cooling and just a lot of awesome stuff that is able to put me in the ability to receive this information, to process it, to game, to downscale it, and to put it on Twitch at 1080 60 FPS. Now, does that mean if you don't have a rig that's able to stream at 1080 that you're not going to get high quality? Not at all, by any means. If you can downscale 1080 gameplay and cam, like your webcam, to a 720p stream, it's going to look really clear. And a lot of people honestly use 720p. I just want to remind everybody that there's really no 900p, 1080p standard right now with streaming. comes down to you as a person, comes down to relating to your content, to the streaming itself. So if you can make a high quality stream and it be 720p, do it. Don't feel the need to upgrade. Don't stress about getting computer parts that you can't currently afford, or upgrading to a camera right now that you just don't need for the wrong reasons. So a lot of people at this point are probably like, okay, if I get a cam link, what kind of camera can I use? Honestly, I would highly suggest sticking with mirrorless cameras. We really don't know the effects of like long-term usage with these cameras. Like live streaming and DSLR cameras as webcams are really such a new thing. And I know a lot of people on forums are out there saying like, oh, there should be no problem because the shutter doesn't actually move. You're using a live view, which is actually true. So when I stream and you guys see me, I'm not actually physically using my shutter. It's bringing in a live view of what the camera sees. That's the reason I'm able to use cameras like the Sony a7S II or the Sony a6300 and able to use it for such a long time and it not overheat. So that way the motor in my lens isn't continuously just trying to autofocus me and whatnot, and then just processing more information in the camera to wear it down even more. So with that, I highly suggest mirrorless cameras. I see a lot of people have been trying to get like Canon cameras, and this is where I talk about, I've heard stories of people using these cameras that are not mirrorless and they have shat out on them in like half a year because it ran it through the shitter. I don't know why it's such a difference, and some people can fact check the video. Leave a comment down below if maybe you know something, or maybe it was just an incident where some people had bad luck with a couple Canon cameras. But in my experience of seeing a lot of streamers, working with a lot of streamers, everybody seems to have very productive cameras when they're mirrorless cameras. A couple good entry-level cameras could be the Sony a6000, the Panasonic Lumix G7, things like that. Those cameras are going to range around like the $500, $600 mark with certain lenses. I know a few people that have upgraded to the a6300, a6500. Those cameras are insane. What it comes down to though is the lens. A lot of people don't understand. A lot of people will buy a camera and then next thing you know, they plug it in and they don't have this sweet, beautiful background blur behind, and that is because they don't have a proper lens. I have a lens that is able to go down to f2, which means that it allows more light to come into the lens, which will sharpen the object that you're focusing on. Like right now, I am focused, the background is not focused. So whatever camera you do end up getting, I would highly suggest learning aperture, ISO, and shutter speed, because those are going to be the three things that really make or break your camera quality when it comes down to this. Remember when I said that this was going to be a bottomless pit? This is what I meant. In the last video, how I talked about respect with all this is what I meant about all that. You just don't simply buy a camera that's $500, $1,000, $2,000, plug it in, and it just automatically sets everything up for you. The reason why everything on my end looks so good is because of the knowledge that I have for cameras, the respect that I have for this equipment that we are using. So, cam link, DSLR, you can work your way up, but Aaron, I want to know what you're using. What is the Big E using for his stuff? Well, my current setup is the Sony a7S Mark II with a 28mm f2.0 lens. I have a shutter speed of 500. I have an ISO of 150. I have two lights on me as of right now. Most of the time I have one light on me. And the reason why my quality is also so good is because I'm actually outputting from the camera at 4K and inputting into my PC with an AverMedia 4K capture card. You can use the Elgato 4K capture card, but honestly, I've heard so many bad things about the software with that, and the AverMedia was like $150 cheaper, so it was kind of a no-brainer. And it's got this like dope RGB light to it too, so that's pretty rad. I have a tripod. I have everything exposed properly. I just make sure I learn everything about my setup, and again, I color grade it, color correct it in OBS to just make it look that much sharper. Now, the final tip that I want everybody to really dive into on this, because I feel like what I'm about to say next is really different for a lot of people. I would highly suggest, with whatever setup that you have, if you want the highest quality possible for you, you really need to do research into your OBS settings. For me, for example, I actually stream off of my graphics card using NVENC. Now, a lot of people will use X264. That is in the settings section where you can actually decide where you want your stuff to be streamed from. It's either CPU or GPU. So I actually stream from the GPU. I use a variable bit rate where people use a constant bit rate. Just my settings with my internet speed and what I am using is all dialed in for me with using one rig. Now, for some people out there, you may be using dual stream PC setup. You might not have as good of a PC as that. You might have a monster PC where you can tweak your settings differently. What I've really come to learn when it comes down to streaming is not everybody in every situation is the same. I could make a video on the highest quality settings for OBS on Twitch, but at the end of the day, those are going to be my settings. Some people cannot handle the settings that I have, or some people would be downgrading with the settings that I would have. For example, I can stream at a 6,000 bit rate, to where people on YouTube can stream at like an 8, 9, 10,000 bit rate. Again, it's just such a big hole of like knowledge and just trying to figure out more and more. And I'm still learning stuff all the time. And it's just such an addiction. And that's the biggest thing that I want you guys to understand from all of this. To get the highest quality possible, it's going to take trial and error. It's going to take you guys and gals learning it. The reason why my stuff looks the way it is, the reason I am the streamer that I am right now and have been growing recently, because we've been doing this for 4 to 5 years on this channel alone. We've been creating this content. We've been learning these things. We've been learning these tools. We've been addicted to, cameras and DSLRs for months at a time. There was a solid like 6 months where I barely spent any time with this, and all I was focused on was learning these cameras. I was addicted to it because these are tools that I actually want to utilize. These are things that I actually want to understand. Trial and error. This isn't something that you guys are going to just learn overnight. This is something that you're going to kind of mess with over time. This whole video that I did today, if you guys actually didn't notice, it was broken down in a progress that I would highly suggest. I would highly suggest taking what you have already and understanding that it is okay to work with it, that you can actually use the things and use the programs right now, the tools that are in front of you, to actually tweak some things. You can actually mess with stuff that you already have with your 1080, 720p webcams, your 720 streams right now to make your stuff look better, your gameplay look better, your webcam look better. When it becomes to a point where your stream is actually making something in return, you actually can go up to the next step, you feel like you should go up to the next step, that's when I would start looking at cam links and DSLRs and understanding that you need to learn aperture, ISO, and shutter speed along with lenses. The camera body is only as good as the lens and the shooter behind it. When you come to a point where your stream is just physically and financially growing to the point where you just want to be ahead of your competition, which is like what I want to do right now. I just want to be ahead of like everybody else. Even though I look at all of us streamers as growing together, I still want my stream to be unique from other people. So when you get to that point, then if you really want to upgrade, make the upgrade, make that 4K upgrade. I kind of planned ahead in my situation because you see now, if we move into the future where maybe I get a stream PC and this is my gaming PC or vice versa, and let's say 4K becomes the new like standard of streaming, I'm set. I'm ahead of the game. And with that, over a period of time, you're going to learn your specific OBS settings that are going to match for you. There's going to be a lot of frustrating times. There's going to be a lot of times of impatient nature where it's just like, I want it right now. And you know deep down inside, you just don't need it yet. But keep working. Get through it. And you'll get to a point where things will pay off. That's just how stuff works. Biggest tip though, I want to end this whole thing off with that will help every one of you guys adjust the quality and learn more things about your stream, is go out there and connect with other streamers. Don't just watch this video. Go to my stream. Go to people that I'm associated with streams. Just go down a timeline in a game or just chatting and just see the quality in other people. Interact with these people. Learn from them. I think that's the biggest thing that holds a lot of Twitch streamers back is they just create a profile. They just start. They want to go to a couple videos and they just want people to draw into them. And the thing is, you're actually going to learn the most by actually interacting with the people that are around you. Your fellow streamers, the fellow up-and-comers, the people that are trying to learn this with you. That conversation always going to be king. So guys and gals, if you have any questions onto the cameras and equipment that I talked about today, they're all in the description down below, all the way down to what I personally use and what I would personally recommend to start off with. If you guys enjoyed this video in any way, shape, or form, be sure to hit the like button, leave a comment down below if you did or did not, subscribe and turn on those notifications. That's all I got for you guys today. I'm out. Peace.